A very good evening, one and all. Welcome to the Buddhist Mahavihara Dhammadana series and also to our Buddhist Mahavihara Facebook page. We are going live today from London in the UK, and we've got a very special guest with us, and he's been on our channel sometime in April this year when the COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak here in Malaysia. And we have Dr. Sunil from the UK who will join us shortly. I would like to invite Dr. Sunil Karyaka Warana to our studio. Good
Hello.
afternoon, Doctor. And
Good
this is
afternoon,
Leslie.
Leslie.
We are late evening, but you must
Yes,
be early afternoon.
it is
And
early afternoon. Yeah.
welcome to our Dhammadana series.
Thank.
Before Dr. Sunil starts his sharing with us, let me just quickly read a profile of our good doctor. Um, Dr. Sunil was born in Sri Lanka uh, and he entered the University of Kelaniya near Colombo and obtained his BA honors. Um, he had an honors degree with first class degree in linguistics, literature, and philosophy in the year 1983. In 1985, he won the Commonwealth Postgraduate Scholarship um, from the Commonwealth Association of Canada and completed his master's in theoretical linguistics at the University of Ottawa. In 1987, he was offered a teaching assistantship by the Cornell University of New York and obtained his PhD in theoretical linguistics and cognitive studies in 1992. In the same year, he was offered a senior lecturer's position at the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, and worked there till April 2002. April 2000. In April 2000, he won two international postdoctoral fellowships, one to take up research in child language acquisition at the Rikyo University in Tokyo, Japan, and the other by the Association of Commonwealth Universities UK to take up research in clinical linguistics at the University College London. Having completed both research projects in 2002, he joined the Department of Language and Communication Science at the City University of London, teaching clinical linguistics to BSc students. And in the same year, which is in 2002, he migrated to the UK. Dr. Sunil has been really very busy in the UK, and he has been actually been teaching meditation to professionals in the government departments in the UK, including the NHS and also the Home Office. At the Saddha Tissa International Center for Buddhist Studies in Kingsbury, he has been teaching the diploma course in Buddhism. Currently, Dr. Sunil is the Buddhist advisor at St. Michael's College, Cardiff University, and the director of Kalyana Mitra, Director Kalyana Mitra at the Buddhist Chaplaincy Support Group. He's also an executive member of the International Buddhist Confederation, established by the Asoka Mission of India. Sunil has been in his new post as the first Buddhist chaplain to Her Majesty the British Armed Forces for the past 12 years and has been working for the Ministry of Defense, providing spiritual and pastoral care to Buddhist personnel across the three British Armed Forces and their families and dependents. Now that's a first for I think. So with such an impressive profile and background, we were very privileged to have Dr. Sunil with us this evening, who is going to speak on opportunities in adversity, a Buddhist perspective. So over to you, Dr. Sunil.
Okay, Leslie. Thank you very much. Thank you, venerable sirs. And Leslie read out very long bio. I hope I could live up to those expectations. I will try. No, basically today I've been asked to speak about the opportunities in adversity from a Buddhist perspective. As we all know, the adversity, uncertainty, and unsettledness is not something that anyone likes. We all want to be in control, in our comfort zones, and certainly, stability and predictability are the four corners of our lives. So, however much we would really like to have very stable comfort zone, sometimes things do not necessarily work the way we hope. So life, as we all know, brings us a lot of surprises, and sometimes they are overwhelmingly difficult, life changing, or sometimes painful as well. Um, when the surprises are positive and towards our liking, of course we become very joyful. But when they are not to our liking, then we either refuse to accept it, or we actually detest them or fight with them, so on and so forth. One time the Buddha said, "Achintitampi bhavati, chintitampi vinasati." That means unexpected things happen, and sometimes the expected things do not happen in the way we actually hope. So, as we all know, we all warmly welcome the third decade of the 21st century, 2020. You can remember, take your memories back to January and so on. We were very excited about 2020. We wanted to have a very safe time and so on. But as we know, the year 2020 came up with a lot of uncertainty as well, and we had to live in lockdowns, and we had to be separated from our loved ones. Some of us actually lost hope, and sometimes jobs and so on, and we had to cancel our holidays, and we had to talk to our family and friends from 2 meter distance, and so on and so forth. So all of these happen unexpectedly, and sometimes at a moment when we were not really prepared. So as we all know, already close to about over 400,000 people have perished, 7.5 million people ill, and millions lost their jobs. So we are still grappling with the grief and sorrow of the loss of our loved ones, and so on. So physically, mentally, psychologically, economically, people have been affected by this situation. uh, the width and the breadth of the damage and the dip is yet to be actually known. So, what is the Buddhist response to all this? And we have been actually contemplating on these issues last few weeks, few months actually, in this Poson week, where we celebrate the Dhamma, the advent of the Buddha Dhamma to Sri Lanka, and preserving the Dhamma to the world. It's actually a good question to ask as to how we actually can sustain, um, uh, in these adverse circumstances. So the Buddhism is not just sustaining or maintaining during adverse times. Buddhism is also teaching us, how to turn a challenge into an opportunity. That's what really Buddhism is all about. So some of the Buddhist responses are, as you all know, right at the beginning of this pandemic, we were saying, if you cannot go outside, go inside. And I heard one speaker said, replace coronavirus with karuna viharas. And somebody else said, in a trouble, to be troubled is to have your trouble doubled. So the Buddhist response has overwhelmingly been very positive. Not to forget the fact that we are all going through difficult times, but in Buddhism, uh, there is this understanding that all uncertainties can arise, and living with the uncertainties is a fact of life. So the negative situations, turning those into positive experience, and opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, mature, realize, are very important aspects of Buddhist teachings. Buddhism is all about enlightenment, and actually enlightenment, the Buddhist symbol, a very very common symbol, is the lotus. Where does the lotus grow? Lotus grows in the mud, a pile of rubbish, and but it springs out into the space, so beautiful looking, sweet smelly, everybody loves it. So when we have these negative experiences, negative situations, if we learn how to turn those negativities into something positive, something beautiful, like the lotus, that is actually the Buddhist response to it. So what can we do this in these situations? Well, as we all say, every dark cloud has a silver lining, and we will have to look for that silver line in every situation, whether we like it or not. The whole Buddhist world had to suffer when there was this Asian tsunami, and when the tornadoes, when these floods, landslides or whatever. And the Buddhist response is overwhelmingly positive, and being generous and supporting each other, trying to understand each other's pain. And actually you convert this challenge into a real opportunity. So as we mentioned the other day, the Salla Sutta in the Buddha says, when you are hit with an arrow, you can either keep the arrow and keep the wound, and be downcast, and be mourning about it and groaning about it. But the Buddhist response is, the Buddha says, rather than taking that arrow and hitting it once again and inflicting further pain upon ourselves, our job is actually to understand the pain. And physical pain does not need to be turned into a mental pain as well. So in Buddhism, there is this beautiful saying: the pain is given, but the suffering is optional. Uh, when you understand pain, you don't really have to turn the pain into suffering. So the one very important way to challenge a situation, adverse situation, is to actually come out of it very positive and happy. So so at the time of the Buddha, we know there were many who experienced adverse situations. So Patachara, Kisa Gotami, and Sunita, Sopaka, Ambapali, Kujutara. I mean, most of the characters actually we hear in the life story of the Buddha were the ones who actually experienced a lot of pain and suffering. But all of these were turned into opportunities of enlightenment. Uh, so let's contemplate on some of the ways that we can actually turn this adversity of the wider situation into something positive. Now, as we all know, we have we all know of somebody that we lost to this pandemic. And death, we thought, was a very abnormal thing, especially in the Western world. We don't want to talk about death. We don't want to see the death. But in the Buddhist cultures, the death is something that you reflect on a daily basis. It's called Marananupassana. It's actually it's a form of meditation. So we don't necessarily have to think of death as something so far distant. And the Buddha said there were five things that are actually very unpredictable, and where you're going to be going to live and die, and where your body is going to be disposed of, where you will be born, and so on and so forth. So um, when all these uncertainties arise, the Buddhist response, as we said, is to actually stay positive and stay calm and stay composed, stay mindful. As we all know, the mindfulness is a big word in all over the world today. Over 300 million people are affected by depression, anxiety, and so on. We do not need to create further anxieties. So Buddhism is about going from actually problem to a solution, not from problem to another problem. As we all know, what is happening in the world, even during this pandemic, was a lot of people are emotionally upset, and for good reasons, of course, upset about some racist attitude by some sections of people. But I think these are you cannot these cannot be categorized or either black and white or black or white or brown, etc. But all human beings are fallible, and our job is to be prepared to forgive and forget sometimes. And so when this the death reflection on death is a wonderful meditation. We could actually if we think of a day, or this is a day that the last day that I'm going to live on this earth, and then we can actually make our life more meaningful. We have no time to be negative. We don't have time to complain about anybody. So it is so important that we reflect on our death from time to time. So we also learn something really interesting. The funerals do not necessarily have to be worked up, and they can be really simple. And we don't need to count how many people are there, who were there, and so on. And then sometimes some of our good friends, they had to actually pass away, and the funeral had to be done even without the presence of the loved ones. So and the simplicity, and also not trying to find fault, and try to find a person to blame. um, that would be another amazing quality that we can develop in this sort of situations. So in summary, the uncertainties are fact of life. A moment of mindfulness can actually bring about lot of hope, lot of understanding in these situations. So let's actually see how we can actually uh, turn these adversities into opportunities. A really good opportunity. Now we have seen a lot of opportunity for us to develop our understanding and caring attitude and so on. I'm so happy the Buddhist Mahavihara has launched this series of talks and sharing Dhamma in these difficult times, and also helping people with whatever way we can. If we cannot help people materially, we could actually just talk to people. And if we cannot talk to people, we could just still have good thoughts and wish people well. So there's actually more than one way we can help people. So and listening to and reflecting on the wise words of the Buddha, and uh, developing or cultivating good habits during these uncertain times would be another really good way to take this opportunity, turn this into a positive opportunity. So we have suddenly realized that we are so interconnected with the rest of the world. We cannot be compartmentalized, anymore. You are living in the east, I'm living in the west, and they are in the south, and they are in the north, and so on. So whatever problematic in the east, it's going to end up in the west, and so on and so forth. So therefore, that understanding is so paramount, so important. So therefore, helping each other and in whatever way we can. This interconnectedness is a very long-standing Buddhist teaching and interbeing. So therefore, we all must try our level best to help support other beings, because we really do not know when we are going to encounter such situations. So this word called empathy, understanding and empathy is so important. And uh, and 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 let's actually make this an opportunity to understand the other person. So Achang Sumedo once said, either you can understand or stand under. So ignoring others, ignoring this interconnectedness may not be the right way forward. So finally, let's embrace this message of the Buddha in a very positive way, and turning a challenge into a real opportunity. So in every adverse situation, there may be a really positive message in it. So if we cannot do good, so sometimes we can actually have good feelings towards others. So in summary, I would like to point out the fact that any adverse situation can be, with wisdom, with compassion, with love, we could actually turn those into huge opportunities, as most people have done. And most people, by practicing generosity, giving up their own comforts for the sake of others. And we have done so much for others. I mean, there are exemplary people, characters. You must have seen Captain Tom Moore in the UK. This was 100-year-old, and on his 100th birthday, what did he do? He actually thought, I will raise £1,000, sterling pounds, for the National Health Service. And he ended up actually walking in his garden from one end to the garden to the other. And guess what happened? The generous people started contributing not just £1 a stretch, but £1,000 a stretch. And believe it or not, within few days, he had raised nearly about 35 million pounds, sterling pounds, for the National Health Service. Now that is a really living example of a person who turned that adverse situation into an opportunity. He could have just stayed inside and mourn about it, and point fingers at people and so on. Rather, he chose to go out and do something for the well-being and welfare of others. And now he has actually ended up being a knight, with a knighthood and an honorary rank in the military of a colonel as well. Now, when I mean, these are really glaring examples, nice examples of amazing people who inspire us all. So we have to take these opportunities into our heart and turn those into action. So finally, I will say that around the world, we have seen a lot of Buddhist monks, Buddhist leaders, Buddhist teachers have actually taken this opportunity to share their wisdom, knowledge, and understanding with other people, which is an amazing, human trait and a divine trait. And one time the Buddha said in the Sukhavagga, in the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, one who actually one who understands these teachings, one can actually live in this human flesh like divine beings. When we do not have to imagine about heavenly existence. We can actually turn these human realms into heavens if we actually take these amazing teachings into our heart. So finally, let me thank once again the Buddhist Mahavihara, Leslie, and Venerable monks and everybody else who organized this amazing talks. And I think they're spending so much time and energy to share this Dhamma with the world. And it inspires all of us. And this actually takes time, energy, etc., etc. But they do it out of heart, and we need to thank all of them and all the people who are doing amazing work around the world selflessly should be remembered. And finally, may I wish everybody safe and healthy living, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Um, we have kept to time as planned. This is a 30-minute talk. I think that's wonderful. We have one question, I think, from the audience. Um, I Can you see that question, Doctor?
Yes, the question is contentment and simplicity help us a lot under present tough times. Do you agree with this? Oh, that's wonderful question. Actually, contentment and simplicity, and actually, this is exactly what I was mentioning in my talk. Simplicity. I mean, this is so profound, and this is a spiritual quality that simplicity is. Now, when just think of the funerals that we normally do. We spend so much money, and we actually put up a very big show of a funeral. And now this COVID-19 has actually told us directly that you're completely crazy to spend so much time, energy, etc. On these funerals. I mean, this is not to say that we should not respect some good people, and give them a good send off. But simplicity is a virtue. So it is absolutely essential that we stay simple, and plain living and high thinking is something that everybody, regardless of your faith, country, creed, that these are universal human values. So simplicity, yes, absolutely. And the second one is contentment, and that's even more important. And the contentment is and you are being happy with what you have and what you get, rather than complaining about things. Now we see in these times of difficulty, sometimes people complain about a lot of things. And but in the Buddhist practice, the contentment is the virtue, and it is called santutti paramang dhanam. If you can be content, and that is the biggest wealth one could actually think of. So I couldn't agree more. contentment and simplicity are amazing qualities. And thank you for that question. And I 100% agree.
Sorry. Sorry, there's one point that you had mentioned earlier. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on this, Doctor?
Yeah. Buddhist approach to any negative situation is to turn it to a positive experience. It's an opportunity to learn, grow, mature, and realize. Yes, no, absolutely. So now let me actually say that the whole life story of the Buddha had this when he went out one day, he saw these four sights. He saw he saw a sick person, he saw a very old person, he saw a dead person, and then he saw this recluse. And when he's seeing these four sights, and the question he asked himself, when he saw a very old person, then he was asking myself, am I going to get old like that? Really old. You can actually think of a person, 110 years old, and you have the bone and the skin, and so old. And then death. And when he actually saw these three D's, decay, disease, and death, and he took it upon himself as a challenge. What did he do? He actually turned that into an opportunity, and he said, I'm actually, until I find out the solution out of birth, disease, decay, death, I'm not going to stop. So the Buddhist practice is all about turning that challenge into an opportunity. And throughout his life, any challenge that came on his way, he turned that and into an opportunity. So when there were actually fights amongst monks, so what did he do? He just actually turned that into an opportunity for them to understand the realities of the world. So as I said, every character in the Buddhist life is tells us something about turning an adverse situation into an opportunity. So I mean, I could go on and tell you thousands and thousands of examples, and even in the modern Buddhist world, when the tsunami happened, for example, thousands of people perished. And what did we do? It actually was devastating to see so much damage and loss of lives. But people, what did people do? They actually practice generosity. And I saw, even in England alone, millions and millions of people contributing and building houses to those people all around those countries. And now see, when when an adverse thing happens, that can be converted, turned into a huge opportunity. And this is really amazing. This is a great human quality. We humans have this amazing brain where we can actually turn any negative experience into a positive one. So Buddhism is all about that. And that's why I cited the example of the lotus. And that is another symbol. Where does the lotus gets its nutrients? From the mud, from pile of rubbish, negative things. But it is turned into a positive and beautiful, looking, sweet, smelly object. So now these are really amazing examples of these opportunities, and we have to think hard, and we have to develop practice and cultivate our meditation for us to be able to see these opportunities. Now, I have seen actually in many countries, during this pandemic, you know, people helping others, you know, each other. I mean, you know, even the royal family just went out and helped these poor pensioners, and you know, other, so people doing whatever they can. And sometimes they, if they cannot go out, they would stay in and actually chant, and wish well for others. So these vibrations, good thoughts, and good energy actually gets accumulated, and that actually turns into a very positive energy. So all in all, you know, we could see any negative situation can be turned into a positive experience, and nothing is, you know, this is why it is it's, you know, called, every dark cloud has a silver lining. Every dark situation, you know, rather than being downcast and unhappy, and you know, complaining about them, we could actually see how can we actually turn this to a positive experience and opportunity. Yeah, does that make sense, Leslie?
Yes, doctor. Thank you so much. I think that kind of clarifies my doubts. Yeah, usually you said we actually have to see the good things. We most times human beings look at the ugly side and the bad side, and find, you know, we don't find the good in anything. We always find the bad in everything. And I think it's what you're
Absolutely.
trying to say. Yeah. So I think basically
Yeah,
what you're trying to say is, let's look at the in out of the box, and be looking at the good side of things rather than the bad side. Especially the
yeah.
media,
And
as you
can
know,
I?
if you read, yeah, if you read the media these days, it's always talking about and projecting the bad images, and the bad stories or the poor stories that nobody wants to read. But I guess that's what sells. But but there are a lot of good things that are not reported, and sadly, it makes the world so depressing sometimes.
Absolutely true. I mean, you know, the good news doesn't sell papers, and that's why, you know, a lot of the time, media is going after the bad things, because, you know, people thrive on, and we have this natural tendency to actually, to listen to gossip and look for gossip, bad things. But there are a lot of good things are being done, and which are not being discussed and talked about. And this is actually some really human tragedy, I should say. But we need to focus more on the positive. And one other point about, you know, the karma in Buddhism is vastly misunderstood by some, because, you know, karma is when you have a karmic result, you know, bad result of a karma, and you have the you have the choice to turn that into something positive. So, you know, when, say for example, you know, you lose a loved one, and what do you do? You know, in the Buddhist cultures, we actually, try to transform that grief into something positive, and we engage in generous activities. We offer dana, almsgiving, and we, you know, in the name of those departed, we do a lot of good things. And by doing that, we transform that grief, sorrow, you know, lamentation into something positive. So we have the Buddhism provides this amazing thinking and technology, and wisdom to, to how to transform a negativity into something positive.
Yes, thank you, doctor. I think you hit the nail on the head just now by your comments. I think we will come to the end of tonight's discussions. And I think this Dhamma sharing was well received. I see a lot of good comments on the Facebook comments page. Even though it was short, I think it was short and sweet. And many people appreciated that. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us this evening. I know you are a very busy man. I know just before this, you spent 2 hours with the University of Monash. I presume, right? You said you were having a talk with the students of the University of Monash, and you're so kindly consented to have our talk this evening. So, with on behalf of all the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara and the Mahasangha, and also the Committee of Management, thank you so much for taking time off from your busy schedule to be with us. We look forward to more such sharings from you in the near future. And before we end, could you kindly also let's do a sharing for those dearly departed and also to the Devas this evening, sir.
Yes. So let's actually put all these good thoughts together in our heads and hearts, and wish well for all beings everywhere. As the Buddha's chanting, Dukkhapatta jani dukkha, bhayapatta jani bhaya, Sokapatta jani soka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May all beings everywhere who are suffering, having difficult times in hospitals, in their homes, and in other settings, being ill and affected by the loss of their loved ones and so on, find solace, find peace, find harmony, and may all beings be well and safe and well. And also, let's actually transfer the merits of this session to the all guardian deities, uh, and also our departed loved ones. Especially, let's also thank those sponsors who very kindly, generously sponsored this talk, and may they all find peace, harmony, and safety.
With that, good night and have a pleasant evening. Sadhu to all. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Leslie. Thanks for all your hard work.
Welcome.